Mr. Gohmert.
Thank you. Secretary Mayorkas, in a meeting some of us had with you April 5th, you agreed to find out who gave the order to prevent members of Congress like me from going undeterred to the border to see for ourselves what has happened. Did you find out where that came from? Because the regional director said it came from Washington.
Congressman, I have inquired, and I'm not aware of any such order. I was not able to identify any such order, and in fact, of course, quite a number of CODELs have occurred since you and I met in April. Right,
but those normally, they are escorted where they're allowed to see, instead of like those of us that have oversight of Border Patrol. We like to go down and just see for ourselves, no dog and pony tour, but see for ourselves what's happening. And you agree that is appropriate, correct?
Yes, Congressman, there are certain parameters, quite frankly, for the safety and well-being of those who wish to tour the border. So
but for a member of Congress that wants to go down, as I've done for the last 17 and a half years, we have to understand we assume the risk when we get there. So I'll make sure I have a recording of you indicating that it's okay for whomever has been given that kind of order. Now, we heard the chairman say the prior administration dismantled the immigration system. He said the prior administration did all they could to destroy the immigration system. He said they implemented a Muslim ban. And so we can set the record straight. And I know it's not intentional misleading, but even the courts have made clear there was no Muslim ban. Muslims were allowed in. There were specific countries that had extraordinary numbers of terrorists. Those were the countries where there was a ban. There was no Muslim ban. So when I do want to know, though, you say immigrants are placed in immigration proceedings, but you didn't say where they go during those proceedings. They remain in the United States. When you say somebody's placed in immigration proceedings, and then you further clarified that some are detained, if they're not detained, the vast majority go released around the country, correct?
No. Quite a significant number are placed on alternatives to detention. We use the acronym ATD. There are different levels of alternatives to detention depending on the risk profile.
But you ship many of those people that are not detained in these other categories around the country, correct?
Yes, on alternatives to detention.
And that's one of the things you're looking to increase the money for, is to pay NGOs and to have your own folks who can help get those people shipped around the country, correct?
Congressman, if I can explain.
You have asked for an increase in that amount of money, correct?
Yes, we have.
And so I'm wanting to know, though, who makes the decision where these different bus loads, plane loads, train loads, who makes the decision where they are going to go in the country?
So, Congressman, there are different tiers of disposition depending on the risk profile.
I'm wanting to know who makes those determinations. I just want to know who makes the determinations. I don't have time for filibustering.
No, Congressman, I'm trying to answer your question.
Yeah, who makes that determination in those categories?
Your Honor, that's my days as a prosecutor. Congressman, Immigration and Customs Enforcement makes a determination subject to an immigration court judge as to who is placed in detention.
Who makes that decision in ICE?
The ICE personnel with expertise make a decision with respect to who should be detained.
Wow, it sounds like a smart chamber. We don't get to know who is making the decision to send people to these neighborhoods. Well, I only got 27 seconds. Let me just say, as you know, Article 4, Section 4 says the federal government is going to keep the states free from invasion. That hadn't happened. You know, there was Pancho Villa's guys in 1916. They came in and killed 19 people in New Mexico. That was considered an invasion. We're losing 100,000 a year. What will be your response
the time of the gentleman has expired.
when Texas
the time of the gentleman,
the invasion?
The time of the gentleman has expired, Mr.
Sir, you allowed 2 minutes beyond your time limit to let the witness answer the question.
Let me explain exactly what I'm doing so everybody knows.
Okay.
Okay. If someone has asked a question before the clock expires, I let the witness answer it.
The majority of the question was asked.
If the witness is in the process of answering a question, I let him finish. You've heard me say the time of the gentleman or gentlelady has expired, the witness may answer the question.
Correct.
You weren't asking a question.
Yes, I was.
You were stating a fact. There was no question. What is the question in front of? So that's why I cut it off at that point. Mr. Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. The gentleman will state his point of order.
The gentlelady from California, her question ended at 21 seconds in the red, and then he was allowed to answer. The witness was allowed to answer. Mr. Gohmert is correct. You allowed someone to ask a question into the red. 21 seconds by the gentlelady in California.
The gentlelady was in the course of asking a question. I permit that, as I permitted on both sides of the aisle. The gentleman, Mr. Cohen.
Except here.